Hey,
Hi.
hi, JP.
Hello. Hi,
Hi.
Surya. Are you able
Hi.
to hear me clearly?
Yes, yes, able to hear you very clearly, and you are looking awesome. You are on video.
Thank you. Thank you, Surya. Yeah.
Yep.
So I was up in the CSP lounge till last 2 minutes and then shifted here. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just put it in the email.
Yeah. Also try to share my, screen. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, able to see it. Uh,
Okay.
it's
You're
easy
able to
to
see
see.
the
Yes,
presentation
yes.
first screen. Okay. Then it's good. Yeah.
Okay. Participants are joining us.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll keep my screen unshared until few people join and then I'll get started.
Sure. I could hear some background noise. Is it from you?
Not sure. Let me mute and see if it stops.
Yes, it is stopped. It has stopped now. So I don't
Okay.
know.
I'm not using a earphone, but is it too much or coming on the way or how is it?
At least I could sense that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Something is actually kind of doing that sound. Now
Oh,
it is
that
now
was
it has stopped.
that was because of I think my neighbor's house. Don't worry.
Okay,
I
okay. Oh,
I'm
I
not
thought
using a
it's coming from your system. Apologies.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. People are still joining us. Okay, so we'll do one thing. Probably I'll introduce you. Meanwhile, let the others join us, JP. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's really pleasure to have you, Jay Prakash here, which is in short form JP. Okay, so for all our audience, he is a Marshall Goldsmith certified executive coach and agility coach, agile leadership a journey guide, and a leader in modern software engineering. And he has 20 plus years of experience as an agile coach, product development, directing, managing, marketing, branding initiatives, and leading the technology consulting and agile coaching business as a lead coach. JP focuses on enhancing the execution ability of people and the ability to make things happen amid uncertainty. JP has delivered talks at various events. It's honored to have you, JP, with us. And we all know he is a CEC, right? Uh, Thank you, JP. With that, now the stage is yours. Probably you can start your session.
Okay. Thanks, Surya, and a warm welcome to everyone. I know this is the last session, and usually I'm also trying to be a practitioner of yoga and trying to go early to the bed. So this is my stretch time. So do pardon me if you see me yawning or doing some inactiveness in between. Otherwise, we'll get started. So so let me share my screen and I will jump into the presentation. Okay, and you can stop me anytime if you cannot see my screen. I'm assuming right now you're able to
Yes,
see my
yeah, we are able to
presentation.
see your screen, JP.
Okay, thank you. So the topic is about the growth journey, and originally I thought of just talking about product ownership, but intentionally I added something called product leadership as well. And I want to distinguish both of them and then see how they are related, and how we can aim for a longer term journey rather than some temporary stuff in that product ownership. Okay, so that's why I added both. And a little background about myself. People who don't know me, I think I usually used to connect with people face to face. I always love those interaction. Due to pandemic, now it's all online. But from my little background, like Surya mentioned, I come from a long-term agile practitionering background since 2002 or 2003, I would say. And throughout the journey, I've been practicing various ways of being agile. It has become a part and parcel of my life in whatever I do. And since last 11 years or so, I'm into entrepreneurship. I co-founded one of my first companies called Arita, and now the last 3 years, I'm running my second company called Agility Moments, which is focused on helping leaders to act amid uncertainty. That's been my focus. Last 4 or 5 years, I've been exclusively focused on enabling and coaching management and leadership folks, how they can be part of shaping the culture which is needed for agility, and how they can take more hands-on roles in enabling be agile in whatever they do, and ultimately get the real business benefits of agile. Right. So that's my focus. A little bit of background. And today we are going to focus on these three topics, which is related to the growth journey. We will first start with what is the essence of being a product owner, right? Because that's the most confused part, as I see in across the industry, even in some of the coaches and trainers and so on. So we'll set the ground rule about more than rule, a ground level understanding about what is the real essence of being a product owner, right? We look at that in a simple and scaled environment, and then we go into the growth prospects, growth opportunities in that space of product ownership. And also we explore something called product leadership and how they're related and what kind of opportunities are there out for us to explore. Maybe we'll spend some time on the skills and competencies needed. And towards the end, I want to make a key message. I want to deliver a key message that this growth journey has to be led by each of us personally. So you can lead your own growth journey as a product owner, and you need a different mindset and competency to do that. So we'll talk about that. Okay. So those are the three topics. Um, and let's jump into the first one. And like I said, let's lay some foundation here on what or who is a product owner. And I love this video by one of my friends called Satisha. He's also a CST from a long time, and is also an entrepreneur, built several products successfully. He has very crisply captured what is the role, or what do you mean by a real product owner, not the distorted version that we see in terms of certification and other proxy product owners and so on, but a real product owner. So let's look at that 5 minutes video. I'm going to play that, and let me know if you cannot hear the audio of the video. I can do something if you cannot hear.
Yeah, able to hear.
Were you able to hear the?
Yes, yes,
Yes.
JP, able to
Okay,
hear.
let me play that. Okay, let's watch this for 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm Antwise from Play Scrum. Let's explore who a product owner is today. First things first, what is a product? At the core of every product is an intent to solve someone's problem. The best way to build a product is to start with the purpose of making this world a better place. People have jobs or activities or chores that they have to do every day, like dropping kids off at school, staying fit, traveling from point A to point B, etc. We face pains and problems in doing those jobs in certain contexts, or we try to do those jobs better in some other context. These pains and gains turn into needs or requirements, as some call it. What an organization does, be it an enterprise or a startup, is provide solutions to these problems. Some call it a product, some call it a project when it's a short-term thing. Some call it a service, a tool, an app, etc. Irrespective of what we call it, the bottom line is we are trying to solve people's problems or help them do their job better. For example, if hunger is a problem, food is a need, then a burger is a solution. Idly is a solution. If tiredness is a problem, then rest is a need. A chair is a solution. A sofa is a solution. They are all products. Now let's understand, who is an owner? Let's assume you are an owner of a hotel and one of the guests comes to you and says, I tripped over the carpet, which was not laid well. Can you fix it, please? Can you say, sorry, I'm not responsible for that. Speak to the housekeeping? No. if you call yourself an owner, you are answerable for everything that happens in the hotel. You may not do every activity yourself, but you are responsible for every activity. So, who is a product owner? Let's explore that a bit. A product starts with a vision. In order to achieve the vision, there are four kinds of people you have to deal with. Users, the main reason why you're building your product. Those who use your product to get some job done. You have to do user research to understand their jobs, pains, needs, and what kind of relationship is required to help them. Then there are buyers who buy the product for their users. Sometimes they could be the same, but not necessarily. If I'm buying food for myself, I'm the user and I'm the buyer. If I'm buying a phone for my friend Sharky at Startup Planner as a birthday present, he is the user and I'm the buyer. The users generally want the best, and the buyers explore all possible options before buying. You have to do market research to understand the competitors, partners, and sales channels, and strategically decide the position of your product. Then there are sponsors who invest in the product, hoping that there will be a return on their investment. You have to understand their expectations and design a business model to fulfill their expectations. You will be a key decision maker and decide what's valuable to build from a business perspective and when to pivot. Then there are talented development team members. You have to collaborate with them to help them understand what needs to be built, answer their questions, and review the work done and provide feedback. You need to ensure that they are building the right thing. User research and market research is more of an external activity, generally facilitated by people like product managers. Business model design and product development is an internal activity, generally facilitated by project managers. If you look at it from a different perspective, user research and product development is creative and tactical work, generally facilitated by people like business analysts or product analysts. Market research and business model design is strategic work and is generally done by product strategy and marketing specialists. So who is a product owner? A product owner is someone who is responsible for all of these activities. You could say a product owner is a combination of product manager and project manager. In other words, you could say a product owner is a combination of a product marketing manager and a business analyst. Does this sound like a crazy, insane thing to do? Well, remember what I said earlier. If you call yourself an owner, you are responsible for everything. You are responsible for maximizing the value of the product. You may not do everything yourself, and you might get help, but you own every outcome, every decision, and every activity.
Okay. So I thought of, baselining our understanding about what a product owner is with this video. So let me ask you a question, and you're free to, provide your input in the chat. Was your understanding about what a real product owner was in line with what you just saw here, or was it like totally different, disconnected, or maybe 50%? What are some thoughts? Where was the gap, if there was a gap? Let's see some input in the chat. Okay, I don't see any input in the chat coming. So Surya, just to be sure, I'm in that session chat window. Is that the right window?
Yes, that is correct, Jayaprakash.
Okay, sure, no problem.
There was some echo while the video was playing, but
okay.
we could get the concept though. Team,
Yes,
I
okay.
highly encourage you to keep the conversation going. Please type your views on the
Yes.
chat.
Yeah, now I see that, Ravinder is saying kind of disconnected, 50%. Yeah, and usually the source of disconnection is in a realistic organization, especially in a large scale, you only get to impact some portion of that overall product ownership that was described as Atisha, right? So either you do the development part with the help of your Scrum team, the development team, and some bit of conversation with some seniors from the product management, but you don't necessarily get the complete empowerment and also complete play to play on all the aspects, right? As a true owner, that's where I see some disconnection. Any other thoughts? Okay, so realize that that disconnect is actually a reality for many of us, and that's probably because we paint the product owner role very differently, especially in the training and a lot of agile initiatives, right, that we do. But I want you to keep in mind that product owner means you own the product success. Product success means value to the customers, value to the organization. That means ROI to the organization, and you own everything that happens. But while executing as a product owner, you're going to collaborate with many other people who can help you. You don't have to necessarily do all the activities described yourself, right? You can collaborate, you can share the load, you can delegate a few things, but when the result matter, you are held accountable in the way it is designed in the Scrum framework if you are choosing to play the role of a product owner. So, with that being said, let's spend a few minutes on understanding what are the key aspects of being an effective product owner. And normally people call them as responsibilities, and I've intentionally changed the word from responsibility to competencies, because if you introduce them as responsibilities, they just become a few pointers in the JD, in the slide. But in order to really fulfill those responsibilities in the real world, we need competencies. That means a lot of skills and traits in the mindset. And when applied in the right context to get some result, that's a competency. So we need a competency which is an acquired skill. That's why I'm calling the responsibilities as competencies. Okay, let's look at them. um, from the video, you saw that as a product owner, as a true product owner, you have to deal with users, the buyers or customers who will, pay and buy the solution from us, and also the sponsors who invest in developing a product. It could be a solution, it could be a service, product, or a combination. Whatever is a solution we are offering, they invest so that they can get an ROI. So there are sponsors, there are users who actually ultimately use the sort of personas who will use our solution, and also the team which does the development. So we have to interact, collaborate, and balance interaction with all of them. So the key competences needed are our ability to understand the needs of the user, the pains and gains as described in the video, and validate if our understanding about their needs is same as what the users really need, and also the buyers needs, right? So they might want to buy and give a solution to their end users. So what are their needs? um, what are some of the pain points they have, and so on, right? That's customers and users needs understanding, and also bringing it back to the organization. Second thing is, as sponsors, they do have a lot of expectations, right? They are internal business stakeholders mostly, and they are investing on a product development for a certain business reason, and that reason or more reasons can be aligned with the long-term business strategy, where the organization is heading towards, where a product or a portfolio of product is heading towards, right? So those things are there, and how do you manage those expectations? And finally, articulating those needs, whatever we collect, whatever we understand, and turn them into product requirements, and prioritizing them and aligning them with a broader product roadmap and vision. These are competencies and also the key responsibilities. It cannot be done easily unless we invest on how to do a little bit of user research, how to do market research, customer research, how to design the business model, right, with the stakeholders, how to articulate the needs as product requirements, which are driven by the customer value and the stakeholder value. How do we specify those requirements? How do you conversate about it? How do you clarify them when the team has certain doubts about it? Right. So these are all four important competencies. Another four, which is also required for an effective product owner, is providing direction and guidance to the team on what needs to be done and why and for whom, right? In case of customers, who are the key personas who need something and why do they need it? What's the value they are expecting out of it? If the who is a stakeholder who's trying to bring some efficiency improvement by, let's say, investing in some automation of what we do, that means there are some business needs of saving cost, or there's some organizational needs. And we have to, like I said, we have to balance between delivering value and ensuring ROI to the company. So that could be a stakeholder. So understanding all of them and providing, when you articulate, they might have doubts. So we have to provide that big picture and the guidance on what, why, and for whom. That's also another very important competency. Similarly, throughout the process, whether you're in the early discovery or the development or late in the development, how do you keep your stakeholders engaged by creating a transparent visibility of your progress, the product development progress, and the risk that are out there, and how are we managing? That's the responsibility of the product owner. You might take the help of teams, maybe scrum masters, maybe other guys, but you are accountable for doing that. Similarly, engaging and collaborating with key stakeholders of value, usability, and feasibility. Like we saw in the video, it may not be humanly possible for you to be good in everything. There might be some people who are coming from usability experience, right? User experience field experts, or some of the guys. In addition to you, there might be some sales people, some other marketing people who constantly be in touch with users and market. You may want to get some right inputs from them. And the feasibility are the most R&D and engineering leaders and the teams, who have a say on building a solution. So we have to be able to, as a product owner, we should be able to engage and collaborate with all of them and do a balanced solutioning. And lastly, driving the product or budget decisions and owning the outcomes for customers as well as for organization. All of these are key competencies of a product owner. So let me ask you a question before I proceed. Again, you can type in the window. What of these aspects are you able to do as a product owner, or you're seeing your product owners do? You can type the number 1, 2, 3, for which one of them. You can type it in the window, and I'll keep the PPT open like this. Or maybe I'll keep it in the presentation mode, or you can type in the chat so that they are visible for you. Yeah, you can type the numbers. Which of these are you able to demonstrate as a product owner, or you're seeing your product owners do this? And remember, these are all needed as a product owner, even in a simple environment. If you're dealing with just one product and you're a startup, let's say. Okay. So maybe may I request the volunteers to read out the, instead of me switching the slides, can you read out if there are some inputs?
So I see people are typing in 4, 8.
Okay.
4 is
8.
articulating those needs.
Yes.
8, I
Yeah.
see more 4s coming in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
3 4s and 1 8 so far get
Mm-hmm.
finished.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So a lot of are you saying that articulating the requirements, especially I think you're referring to backlog management. People write the items in the backlog, they manage them, they prioritize. I'm quite surprised to hear 8, because not many product owners do take decisions and own the product decisions. They usually are dependent on someone else, in my experience in the real world adoption. But I have also seen some of the real product owners who do take decisions and own the outcomes. So, so one thing is for sure, the others normally are missing, right? Product owners don't have the capability to do these things, and they're completely dependent on someone else. In which case, you cannot be a product owner, but you are in the journey of becoming a product owner, right? That itself gives us an opportunity to grow the other aspects where we are low. Now, to add to this, we have scaling environment, or a scaled environment, where in a large organization you have multiple products, maybe a portfolio of products, and you're being asked to play the role of a product owner. And what becomes very easy is to get into these jargons like, hey, you be a team level product owner, I'll be the enterprise level, I'll be a chief product owner, and blah blah blah, right? All of that jargons get created because you are in a scale environment, and you further diminish your ability to own the product fully, right? And so that's why I want to call out here, whether you're working as a product owner in a simple environment, whether it's just one product in a startup like environment, or whether you're working like a product owner in a huge scale environment where you are managing the a portfolio of products. If you are a product owner, you're accountable for all of this, right? And you're still a product owner, whether it's simple environment or scale environment. Maybe the degree of your focus and your decision making might vary, but you have to ensure customers get value and organization get returns. So if you're talking about simple, you're talking about just one product and the associated customers and the ROI from that one product. If you're in a scaled environment, the customers of the overall product portfolio and all the customers related to that, and the ROI to the organization from that portfolio of products. That end expectation is still same if you're a product owner in a scaled environment. So some more competencies in the scale environment are, obviously you need all of this, because even in a scaled environment you might be asked to take care of one or two products that you're really good at, and you're also working with other product owners. And if you're a product owner at a portfolio level, irrespective of whether you're called as a chief product owner or portfolio level manager, whatever is the title, but you are still a product owner in the definition of what Satisha described, end-to-end ownership. So if you are in that case, you might need all of these capabilities plus many more. Let's look at the first four here. You should be able to align the product strategies with the portfolio level roadmap and vision and the broader business strategy. If you're working in a scale environment as a PO, you should be able to cross prioritize the product requirement across multiple products. And you should be in a position to communicate and provide direction like you did here, uh, but direction to many other POs and Scrum teams on, or Agile teams in general, on business outcomes and the customer opportunities. So you look at the backlog item as more of opportunity backlog, not like your features backlog, right? So, and you should be able to communicate and provide direction on that, and also provide visibility to your stakeholders on the overall development progress and risk, probably at a portfolio level, right? Um, and also driving business decisions across the product areas and portfolio. So here you're prioritizing within a product, but here maybe across the product and the decisions. The decisions could be on the prioritization, decisions could be on a strategic initiative to try out some new experiment, maybe changing the vendor and so on, right? A lot of business decisions. And also guiding and mentoring the other product owners of individual products, right? If you are a PO at a scale level, plus building and nurturing effective partnership with other business functions. It could be HR, it could be learning and development, it could be your supply chain and procurement and so on, right? And maybe some external vendors or partners that you're working with. As a product owner at a scale level, you need to be able to nurture this partnership. Plus, the key aspect of being a product owner at a scale environment is actually your ability to descale, reduce the complexity so that we can deliver value faster with least complicated solutioning and with a faster response time to the time to market. So how do you descale? How can you reduce complexity through continuous collaboration with your key stakeholders and applying, systems thinking and so on, right? These are all additional competencies you need to work as a product owner in the scale environment. And many a times I've used stakeholder. Stakeholder simply means, I've given a definition, anyone who has a stake in your work and who can either influence it and or impacted by it. And that could be any of the internal people, the business people, your dependent teams, maybe your production environment people, and so on, right? All of them are stakeholders. So how do you manage that? So with this picture, right, again, I want to ask, how does it sound with your understanding about product owner role in a simple and a scale environment? Was it aligned or totally misaligned? So how much percentage was aligned? Let me hear some input once you provide in the chat. Are there any inputs, organizers?
Not yet,
Okay.
JP.
Okay.
Team, please feel free to add your details. Make it more interactive. It will
Yeah.
help the session. No question. No responses yet.
Okay. Okay. Let's give another 10 seconds and then we can move on.
Sure.
Are my the fonts visible here on the PPT? Are they readable?
A little small for me.
Okay. Yeah, only this slide is crowded because I know I couldn't find a way to have so many points within a slide. But that's okay. Other slides are more readable. I can also make this PDF available later for people who are
Sure.
interested. Okay, so let me move on. Now this is the world of product ownership. And many of us at the best would have seen some good people who have become backlog managers, right? In the name of product owners. Or you're a product owner, but only asked to do certain aspects in a limited manner, right? So I want you to distinguish between the title called product owner, though it's called as role, it's introduced as a role as a part of coaching. Eventually it becomes a title and you're doing some portion of this due to the way you are set up and the kind of empowerment you are given, the way you are measured, but you're not allowed to do end to end. And even if you're allowed, you don't have the skills. So that's why treat this journey as a long-term journey. There's a lot to learn on the job, not just from the 2 day CSPO class or training on product owner. You have to try them on the job. You have to collaborate and learn from each other. Eventually, where you can own the success of the product, which means value to customers, real customers, and value to the organization. That's the journey. Okay, and I wanted to give that picture. Now, let me move on. That is still not the real essence because that looks like a lot, right? And a lot of us can simplify our journey by making it simple to understand. So that's why one key message I wanted to give to the role of product owner is what you see in the picture. Any thoughts? What thoughts are coming to you when you see this picture to call about the real essence of being a product owner? You can type in any thoughts that are coming and please read for me if any people provide input.
Ravinder responded, JP, balance between teams and stakeholders.
Yeah, yeah, wonderful. In fact, balancing
Okay.
between all those people like users and the customers and sponsors and the team. Yeah. Any clues from the right side picture? The person in that black and white photo? There is something which is written there. Any thoughts you get from that? Okay, I'll
Um,
I'll reveal it for you while you're taking some time. So if you refer back to Satisha's video at one point, he talked about the user research, market research, business model design, and product development, which involves 4 different kinds of people that we deal with as a product owner. The real essence is our ability to juggle and balance between the customer realities, which is users and buyers, the business realities, which is sponsors, and sometimes the internal representatives of the marketing department, and the engineering realities, which is coming from the teams and the R&D group. How do you balance between all those realities and yet own the product success end to end? The buck will stop at you if you are the product owner. So so how do you balance and how do you ensure there is enough value getting delivered to customers, probably in an incremental manner, and encouraging ROI that organization is getting. Maybe we're going to do profitably, we're going to do it at less cost, and maybe we can expand some of the market by capturing more market share and so on. There are organization goals, plus there are values and the needs and the pains of customer. How do you balance? That's the real essence. And that's why I say it's a journey. It's really, really a long-term journey. And the more you're aware about the breadth and the depth, and the more focused effort we put, we can be in the journey of becoming an effective product owner. Otherwise, after 4 years, from 8 years, we would have become the best backlog manager, the best user story writing person. But that's only 5% of what you do as a product owner. So I wanted to paint the picture differently here, intentionally. Okay. So with this, let's look into 5 or 10 minutes on the growth opportunities in product ownership and leadership. So let's look at how does a PO role evolve in the real world, right? Normally what happens, right? And I'm picking a few slides and content from Teresa Torres, who's a product discovery coach, and she has a lot of wisdom to share in this space. Now, in a traditional setup, when you're doing a product management, typically you have business stakeholders at the top, and the salespeople and the marketing people and so on, they gather the requirements, they hand it off to some roles like product manager, right? And they write the PRD, product requirements document, and then they hand it over to engineering team. This is a classical waterfall approach where product management happens, right? Now let's see what happens when you introduce a PO role. Many organizations switch to this approach right side with agile adoption. For example, introducing Scrum as a framework. What happens? Um, you create a role called product owner. Now we are still not sure whether they are the truly product owner, the fully empowered guys, or the guys in between. But nevertheless, at least there is a role called product owner. There is an intent that they can interact with actual customers to gather the requirements. And of course, they are also required to take some approvals from those stakeholders. But at least we have an intent to have the product owner or be the voice of the customer, right? And then you write requirements, maybe this time more like a user stories, persona driven stories. And then we have a team, and product owner hands off the needs in terms of user stories to the team. So what do you think about this approach, right? This is definitely better than the traditional one because get to interact with customer, but still there is a handoff, and product owner is stuck in between the customers and the team, and you're trying to hand off the requirement, okay, in the form of your requirements. So with this approach, can a product owner fulfill his or her responsibilities effectively? And responsibilities meaning what we saw in the competency slide. Can you do all of that with this approach? What's your answer? Yes or no? Can you please type in the chat? Remember those 8 and 16. Let's focus on at least the first 8 in a simple environment. Okay, so while you're thinking about it, Teresa Torres says this may not be as effective as you want it to be, right? And so let's talk about how should a product owner role evolve in the real world from the true product owner point of view and also the real value point of view. So many a times recognize the need for the discovery approach, and if you go into the product discovery approach but you're trying to do it in the traditional setup, you might do something like this. We still have customers now, and your PO will join this what we call product trio. Trio is usually the representation from the value and the finance and the feasibility and the user experience. So product owner is also part of that gang, right? And there is a co-creation that happens between customers and the product trio as a part of discovery. And then you hand over those to the engineering. So again, there is still a handover, and Teresa feels even this is not so effective. Hence, the recommendation is that you switch to a product discovery practice instead of project-based discovery, and that product discovery is coupled with product thinking. So where you have this setup, plus you have a product owner, and there is a constant interaction between the development track and the discovery track. And then you basically keep exchanging whatever you discover, and product owner keeps converting them into the requirements, and so on. Now this typically, why it happens is, if you go with this traditional discovery, if your engineering teams are slow, and if these guys are giving you a lot of input, you cannot keep up with them. Or if they are doing faster, but the trio team is not able to write the requirements at the right pace, and the teams are waiting for something to happen. So the ultimate impact is customers are still waiting for the value. Hence they introduce a new role, and they train them, and they can write some good user stories. And user stories, as you know, are meant for rich discussion. They are not the ultimatum or the document. The documentation is not so important, but the conversations are important in user stories, as many of you recognize. But even this poses challenge because you're still not involving the real engineers who actually need to build the solution, to have a say in how they want to build the solution, to have them have a first-hand interaction on understanding what the customer needs are. So Teresa Torres points out that all of these approaches, so placing PO inside the triad, outside it, all of this are not so still effective because you are keeping your teams away from the discovery part, right? And if you don't discover, you don't get to understand, are we solving the right problem? So you end up solving a problem which may not be worth solving, either because that is not the real need of customers, or it may be the real need but doesn't give us enough profit, so it doesn't make from business to do that. So all of that failures will happen even with these approaches. So will it allow us to fulfill all the responsibilities effectively? Probably not. It can still get better. And the approach recommended from Teresa Torres, which I also kind of believe, because I've been doing parallel experiments as a coach, is this continuous discovery, where you have the customers on one side, you have the product trio, we have the representatives from the feasibility, value, and usability, and you have rest of the team. All of you work together, right, in a continuous discovery mode. So while there is an early discovery and then feeding into something, you will end up taking certain decisions, and then the team gets into the development, and whatever discovery happens during the development will be fed back to the discovery, and in turn customer, and there are healthy negotiation that happens. So it's continuous, and there are a lot of details in this article on how that is useful. I would encourage you to read that. Now, why am I bringing this on? Why how PO role should evolve, right? um, why this approach is better? Because it simplifies the product discovery and development, which can happen in parallel and continuously. It brings customers, stakeholders, the discovery team and the delivery team closest, right? And it enables better shared understanding and continuous collaboration. This is the setup where product owner can really fulfill most of the responsibilities and the competencies I called out in my earlier slides. All others will be obstacles. Now, obviously, in the real world, you will not have a setup like this. You will be moving towards that. So, as a product owner, how can you push your team? How can you coach and educate and also carve out your path where you can do continuous discovery as a product owner and continuous development? That will be your journey. And you're going to do it by bringing value in each of those competencies, learning about it, applying it, showcasing the value, showcasing the waste in the system when you don't have a setup like this. So there is a bit of coaching also you need to do as a product owner to the other people. So only when we appreciate this do we appreciate the need for PO growth opportunities and the journey involved. Otherwise, for most of us, becoming good product owner means becoming a very good backlog manager who can write stories and who can size them with the help of team and story points and so on. You know what? That's just 5% of what a PO needs to do. You have many other things. That's when you'll be respected as a full owner who can make a difference to the business, and you will have lots of opportunities. The titles might vary. You might be hired as a head of product strategy or head of engineering if you're coming from engineering background, or head of product engineering, head of portfolio of the products. Different roles are there, titles are there, but you will be hired for the real product ownership that you can bring to the table, right? So growing like this in the true sense as a product owner requires a new mindset and a set of new leadership competency. As you can see, this requires lot more than user story writing skills. You need more. Okay, so we have to get there. The skills and traits needed to develop a PO competency. Just want to pause. We have another 15 minutes or so to see if there are any questions so far or comments.
There's one question from Ravinder,
Yeah,
JP. I'll read it out.
yeah.
Can you also share some limitations to continuous discovery phase and how we can solve them?
Limitations to continuous discovery. So what I'm understanding is, should this be done continuously or should we stop and then go on to development, right? If I'm understanding from that point of view, as such, there are no limitation because the discovery has to be continuous. Now, it can get challenging when you keep on exploring to become perfect in the customer understanding and you keep elongating the discovery phase. That's not advisable because we can never become perfect in a VUCA world, right? Whatever we thought we have discovered enough. So usually three indicators when we can, or three possible outcomes from an early discovery. That is, you learned that whatever problem you thought are the customer problems are indeed the customer problems. You can validate through all this early rapid prototyping, MVP, and so on. You can learn from those experiments. And then you decide that, yes, we are in the right track. Let's proceed. One possible outcome. Second possible outcome is we had a fairly good understanding about customer problems. We validated this through scientific experiments, but the approach we are taking to solve might need a very tangential directional shift. So let's take that directional shift. Another possible outcome, second outcome. A third outcome is, oh, you know what, this is completely wrong. I think we are heading in the wrong direction because what we thought as a problem for customer is not a problem at all. They have something else. Maybe this whole idea about the product solution we should drop because we got it wrong. You could stop that initiative for that reason. Or you have a right understanding, you have an alignment, but we cannot do it profitably. We'll become a loss making company if you do this, right? That also doesn't make sense for business. So let's drop this idea. Let's move on to the next opportunity. So these possible outcomes can happen at any time when you're discovering. The moment it happens, then your early discovery phase is ended and you can move on to the development phase. And then discovery also continues, but at a lower intensity, right? So I don't know if that answered your question, Ravinder.
There's a response to that, JP.
Yeah.
What Ravinder wants to ask is, as discovery keeps going and we never reach a goal and
Yeah.
delivery or solution impact,
Mhm.
his question basically is, how when do we stop this continuous discovery phase if we and how do we define the MVP and set the goal intact?
So So the way I look at that, Ravinder, is your MVPs are there more in numbers in the early part of the discovery to validate your assumptions. As in when you're validating them through rapid prototyping, you get enough information to take a decision. Should we invest further in the full-fledged development? So that's an indication when you can stop. And then you actually go into the early part of the development. There also we take MEP approach because we want to deliver maximum value as a part of early iterations, early increments, and we stop when we run out of resources. The whole agile game works on keeping the scope variable and in such a way that we prioritize those needs and the requirements starting from the highest value to lowest value. The reason why we do that is if we can deliver maximum value in the early increments and early iterations before we run out of resources, right? The budget, the amount the customer can pay any longer, right? If they want to stop, or if we cannot do anything more profitably, we want to stop and ensure that whatever is delivered till that stage is of maximum value within the given budget and given time constraints. So the stopping can be a business decision at any point, as long as we have delivered enough value and probably highest value in that journey. So that's why continuous discovery will continue to happen, but decision can happen on whether it's good enough or not, depending on the validation from the real customer on have you delivered the value. That's why we need frequent interaction with even customers, even in the development phase, not just in the discovery. Right? If you're only pointing to discovery, like I said, if you have enough answers to take a decision whether to proceed, stop, or pivot, that's an indicator when we want to stop the early discovery. Okay, so let me see how much time left. So we have another 9 minutes, so let me proceed now. That was good. Thank you for the interaction. The skills and traits. Again, one of the videos by Satisha, I think this video is from the same, maybe who is the product manager video. I have mentioned the URL here. He lists down quite a bit of skills and traits. Like, you have to be a visionary as a product owner. You have to be a creative person, have some knowledge and sense of user experience, what customers might like or not like, dislike, and good domain knowledge to understand the business aspects, marketing aspects, and the business acumen, right, in terms of finance, budget, and strategy, and so on. And most importantly, decision making. You have to have those skills required to take decision making. For example, how do you prioritize when you have many factors that are influencing your backlog items? Not just the value for the customer, but there is a value to the organization, there is availability of customer, there are some engineering constraints, and so on. When you have multiple factors impacting your priority, how do you prioritize and how do you take decisions, right? Or when you're hit with a roadblock, how do you take a decision? Roadblock could be due to some partners not cooperating, or maybe not having enough competency in the team, or not getting enough feedback from the customer. How do you unblock the team? What kind of decisions would you take? All of these things, right? So you need a lot of skills and traits, and what I showed earlier are the competency. That means your ability to apply these skills and traits in a given context to make things happen. That's a competency. That's something acquired over the job through the real hands-on experience, but you need to build your muscle on these skills. So what I want to call out is, if you want to do it in the right spirit with that product owner understanding, you need a different mindset. Your traditional project management mindset, traditional product management mindset that we normally come from is not sufficient. We need a different mindset. So, and I'm now bringing the concept of this product leader. So simply put, a product owner in a scaled environment is a product leader for me, right? So if you can act like a true product owner at a portfolio of products, at a business unit which is dealing with many products in a large organization, that means you're a product leader, right? Both of them are entrepreneurial, and as a product owner, you might be in a simple environment, you might be entrepreneurial only with respect to that one product. Here you are entrepreneurial at a portfolio of product, maybe entire business unit or entire family of products, right? So that's a product leader. So like I said, both PO and the product leader requires a new mindset. And in addition, product leader also needs new leadership competencies to deal with the product complexity in a scaled environment. As it is, scaled environment is complex. Even if it is not necessary, we are known to make them complex in many organizations, and there is a lot of complexity due to the UCA world aspects. So when you want to grow from an effective product owner to a product leader, you need new leadership competencies, and all others I have already listed in that competency list. So let's look at what's that new mindset. The new mindset is product thinking and continuous discovery, right? This is needed as a mindset because here, as you can see in the picture, our goal is to minimize output, maximize outcome to our customers and to the organization. So that means do this with least possible products, least possible solution. So, and do it cost effective, do it profitably, and ensure that you are actually creating positive impact on the customer by solving their problem, not by giving them 100 more features. right? So minimize output, maximize outcome, and do this as a co-creative endeavor by having a balanced product team, which has the product trio, which includes even the engineering representatives, in addition to your usability and the other ones. So that's product thinking mindset and continuous discovery. There is a lot of details into it. If you read through Jeff Patton's book and the talks, you will know about it. Plus leadership competency. Like I said, your destination, or not even destination, I would say your long-term growth prospects as a product owner could be a product leader, right? Who can operate like a true product owner in a scale environment. And for in order to do that, you need a new kind of leadership competency, which I normally call as leadership agility, which has creativity in your thinking to provide solution. Creativity involves joining hands with potential competitors, using blue ocean strategy and making it as a more partnered endeavor rather than competing with small players, or retiring a product, creating a new market that doesn't exist individually, but if you join hands with someone else, you can co-create new market space that doesn't exist for individual company. Lot of such creativity, plus your ability to take actions in that VUCA world. You need different agility in your behaviors, in the way you act like an agile leader. So more agile leaders, they have all these characteristics. They'll be able to communicate vision clearly, employ a growth mindset. You're more self-aware about your own limitations and biases. You invite basically co-creation by engaging your stakeholders, employees. You diversify risk, foster the organizational adaptiveness, and so on, right? A lot more things. There are a lot of details. I won't get into that, but I wanted to just give you what could be helpful, and I want you to dig into it. Okay, so that's all about growth opportunities. Like I said, you can grow towards an effective product owner by working on those 8+8 competencies, and eventually when you have all those 16 competencies practice, just in addition to that, if you pick up this additional leadership competency, and if you embrace this mindset, you can move towards becoming a product leader who can pretty much run the business like a mini CEO in a large organization, or you can have your own startup, right? That's the growth possibilities. So the last part is, how do you lead? I know I have almost 2 minutes, so just want to end this with two messages. Okay, one, if you want to lead your journey, you have to step out and create some time from your bias in delivering more to growing yourself. So you have to grow on your mindset. So you have to shift your focus towards growth of a leader. You have to lead your journey as an agile leader, as an agile product leader, and you can make use of some of the models. One example model is this leadership agility, where you have to shift your focus from, or skills from, being an expert leader to an achiever to a catalyst leader. And as catalyst leaders, you will have more awareness, more broader view of the long term strategy where you're heading towards, and you will add to whatever you already have. So this is additive, like a Russian nesting doll, and this is cumulative. So you need to add those skills and competencies which are listed there more as an addition, and use them appropriately based on where you're situated in your environment, right? And this is a journey. There are a lot of details into it, and it can explore by visiting Agile Leadership Journey, right? And that's it. So finally, my final message. I didn't have a time to actually play this video. I'll see if someone is interested, but I just want to show one message to end, that the most important thing is to try, like you see this girl doing. Product ownership is a long-term journey, right? And maybe there's one more video here, a GIF. You won't get it in the beginning. It's an acquired skill, and you got to keep practicing. That's it, and that's all I wanted to show. And yeah, maybe I'll switch back to this. Thank you for paying attention so far. I think we are just on time.
One time, yes.
Any other questions?
Thank you, JP. I don't see any questions here, but I think the concept was really very good. We we learned a lot of new things about product ownership, the skills they need to acquire, product leader, product manager. I
Yeah.
think I'm sure there would be a lot of learning with my friends here on the session as well. With that note, if there are no further questions, team, I think we are good to close.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, and thank you, Vijaya, for hosting me here. I'll stick around for the networking purpose. Anyone can
Sure.
catch. Maybe I need to join a different session, right? Not here for the networking.
Yes, for the networking, there is a different
Yes.
session.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Vijaya, and
Thank you.
have a nice
Thank you,
day.
JP.
Have a nice
Thank you.
night, remaining night for you guys. Thank you, Abdul,
Thank you.
Surya.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thank you.